Praised be Jesus and Mary. Like the Jesuit priest, Blessed Miguel Augustin Pro, St. Christopher and his 24 companion martyrs lived under the very same anti-Catholic government in Mexico. A government determined to weaken the Catholic faith of its people. Sound familiar? Churches, schools, and seminaries were closed. It was a crime to have your children baptized or to receive baptism or to celebrate Mass. All the foreign clergy were expelled. Priests were forced to minister secretly to Catholics from 1924 to 1928. It was at this time that Father Christopher gathered all the displaced seminarians and started his own seminary, which of course was quickly suppressed. So he formed another and another. And when they were all closed, the seminarians conducted classes in private homes. And Father Christopher wrote and preached against armed rebellion, but he eventually was falsely accused of promoting a guerrilla revolt. So on May 21st, 1927, while on his way to celebrate Mass at a farm, he was arrested along with Father Augustin Coloco, who had been recently ordained. And the government soldiers told them that they would be put to death within a few days. However, they could escape death by publicly renouncing their faith. So on the morning of their execution, the younger priest saw the firing squad preparing their rifles, and he began to have second thoughts. Perhaps he didn't want to die so young. And Father Christopher said to him, "Friend, take courage. Soon we will be together in heaven." Father Christopher gave away his few remaining possessions to the executioners, gave them all absolution, and without a trial, he was martyred. And just before the executioners fired, he said, "I am innocent, and I die innocent, and I forgive with all my heart those responsible for my death. And I ask God that the shedding of my blood serves toward the peace of our divided Mexico." So the other 23 companion martyrs that we celebrate today didn't die as a single group, but in 8 different Mexican states. And they were beatified in 1992 and canonized May 21st, 2000 by Blessed Pope John Paul II during the Jubilee of Mexico. And all these martyrs were diocesan priests, except 3 laymen who died with their parish priest, Father Luis Baptiste. And every martyr, realizes how to avoid execution, but he refuses to pay the high price for doing so. And, they would rather obey God than man, no matter what the cost. A clear conscience for them is more valuable than a long life. Sometimes we may be tempted, as was Father Augustine Calico, to compromise our faith in dealing with situations we may find intimidating, or worse yet, in order to keep the peace, we just remain silent. The question we need to ask ourselves is, are we willing, to obey God rather than the devil? We can do that by overcoming the temptations which would separate us from God, if we were to give in to them. The saints remind us that our daily choices, especially in temptation and adverse circumstances, form the pattern of our lives. And some people desire to follow the example of the martyrs, for the love of God. But we have that opportunity every day. Everyone has the opportunity every day in just dying to ourselves, by overcoming our temptations and our slothful tendencies, by getting along with disagreeable people, or just by practicing that charity, by not gossiping. And that takes heroic virtue. It takes the virtue of a martyr. So let us pray today to St. Christopher and the other 24 Mexican martyrs that give us that example of heroic virtue.